Hey everyone, Junior Bacon Chi here, back with a video on the Battleground Battle for Gilneas. Today I did this battleground and I just did a random without a pre-made or anything, and you will notice that I am the only healer in here. So I thought this would be a good opportunity just to show the difficulties of being a solo healer, how to sort of kite people, and more specifically how to peel for yourself. And I know that sounds kind of funny, peeling for yourself, but what I mean, I'll show you when it comes up when I do it, but basically you can do stuff to make it so the other DPS notice that you need help without having to call it out. So in this battleground we went to mines at the beginning just to change things up. We just decided beforehand that's what we do. I tried various different placements of Transcendence here, and I was surprised that a couple things didn't line of sight. So here you'll notice that I go and I crowd control this Demon Hunter just because I can do lots of burst, and it relieves pressure for me. So I also put my Transcendence behind the shed there, and in a minute when I transfer over there, I'll show you. I don't know if it's a bug or something, but apparently there's no line of sight over there. So there's this Balance Druid. You'll notice that I CC him a bunch because if you leave the Balance Druid just to sit there and cast, if they get a full moon cast off, they can do quite a bit of damage. So I think right here you'll notice this Balance Druid is still hitting me. So I don't know if that's a bug or if that's intended, but that's something to be aware of, to not put your Transcendence back there because you can get DPS'd, which makes things difficult, obviously. So here I'm basically just trying to keep as much distance as I can and just spamming Vivify. I just did my artifact weapon ability. When you can get that off, it really does help so much. Something I noticed while watching this video back is I hover at around 20% mana for quite a bit, which is nice to know that you can still heal a bunch of people with such low mana. So I'm going to go and CC over here. I get a good stun off on these two. Basically, one thing that I focus on a lot in battlegrounds and randoms, as well as trying to focus crowd control when you're low on mana. Again, I just put a Transcendence in a new spot just to see if it would help. So one thing you'll notice in a little bit, there's a warrior in Ret Pally that really focused me, and they know a lot of the good Transcendence spots, so I had to start getting more creative. Here, we're just waiting. They're going to spawn here at mines in a minute, and I was basically just running between different areas throughout this battleground. They kept Lighthouse for quite a bit, so they just res. There's a Balance Druid, Enhancement Shaman, and Ret Pally. So again, I try and CC that Balance Druid because I just basically pick the person that I know can kill me the fastest, and that's who I CC. Alright, so here's a good example. I run in here, line of sight them, and that's a way to get a team to peel for you, is if you have a bunch of DPS on you and you just go line of sight, it's basically just a peel naturally, because the DPS isn't going to just sit there and try and eke their way when they're being slowed towards you in your line of sight. They're just going to turn around and fight the guys that are trying to kill them. So up here, I try and jump up here and put another Transcendence down just to get a new spot, because they they end up following me on a bunch of them. So I went ahead and CC'd that shaman. Go back to this balance druid. I'm sure he hates me at this point because I just really don't let him free cast. I mean, you can see that mage's health. They got hit by that shaman balance druid combo and they just basically one-shot stun. CC that balance druid again. So we're just finishing up this fight real quick. Alright, one thing you'll notice, I just did a paralyze on the priest's little pet, and then I go and destroy this counter-strike totem. I just wanted to point that out because the Shadow Priest regains mana and does damage with that pet. So you crowd control that, go and kill the counter-strike totem, and that's just something healers can do on the side, as well as crowd control. Because the DPS, they just focus on killing the guys. If you can just let them focus on killing them, and you take care of the totems, the crowd control, doing things of that nature. See, I just paralyze that guy, then stun the hunter, and then go back to healing. It really, you'd be surprised at how much it relieves the pressure on how much you actually have to heal. Monks are wonderful for spinning flags as well to keep people from capping. Here it gets pretty sticky. There's a lot of guys here at this point because they just keep rezzing as they die at Lighthouse, so I think I end up becoming overwhelmed here in a minute. This warrior, that warrior ends up killing me a couple times actually. So one thing that is a great strategic thing to do in Battle for Gilneas specifically is switching when you res. So I just died at Mines, I'm now at Lighthouse, and rezzers should go to Waterwork now. Because the majority battle right now for the Horde, they res at Mines, were at Mines, they just did a huge res at Mines, so they should all be there. Me and this other mage are going to Waterworks right now to help support that rogue, and here I'll show you a Transcendence thing that I did. I will pop it right here at the very first, right there in that corner, just because you don't know, and a lot of the times when you port, they think you go into that building. So I put it there once, and then the next time I think I put it back in that building, which I think ends up being a mistake because the warrior finds me, because I think people are getting more and more used to monks putting it exactly where I'm putting it. So I would recommend not putting it in that spot.
It's too far away.
So the Hoarder are starting to come in now. I'm just getting some distance. I'm sort of trying to be into the back of the fight because this warrior, he really does love me right there. There he is. So I port over, try and start doing heals. The warrior comes back over. I basically just try and not get kicked during this process and do as much healing as I possibly can. So I CC those guys, do my mist walk over, get some vivifies off, go and grab this sprint because it really does help kite. As you can see, I am running around a lot just trying to kite, which isn't giving me a lot of time to cast, but it's also allowing me to not get interrupted. So once I get out of this CC, I'm going to be able to heal people back up, get some distance again. Just doing whatever I can to get away from these guys. I end up getting overwhelmed right there. I think we end up right here going to Mines because the majority of the fight is at Waterworks. So I'm not sure if we want Mines on this thing or not. But it honestly depends. If you capture and are holding one pretty well, then obviously support it. But Otherwise, just switching back and forth tends to be a really good strat. So it does look like we are going to go mines um, while they're being distracted at waterworks. So once I get over to mines, I'm going to pop down just the usual transcendence, the statue, and then try and keep some good distance. I think up here is where I start doing some good peels for myself. And the best way to honestly do that is to start on one side of the fight and then use your chi torpedo, your rolls, whatever you have, mist walk, and go across the battle. Like literally, if everybody's fighting and you're on the left side, just go all the way across to the right side. And what that does is it forces the opposing team's DPS to run through your DPS. And during that time frame, they get CC'd, they get DPS so much that they have to stop and actually fight the people that are fighting them. So in a minute, the Horde are going to start showing up a lot more. And see, I'm on this side. I got the Demon Hunter on me, I got a Druid coming up. And so I go over, do my Torpedo, my Mist Walk, and get all the way over on this side. And it gives you time to reposition yourself. Now that warrior's back on me, so I'm going to go across. Just do whatever I can to stay away from that guy, because he really did do a lot of really good damage on me. So again, teleport or mist walk through the fight, get to the other side, gives you some time for your DPS to knowingly or unknowingly essentially peel for you. So I end up getting overwhelmed again with, I think there was 4 guys on me at that point. But really practice that. Go from one battle side to the other side. And every time you do that, you should, if you have 3 guys on you, most likely they only have 1. Unless it's a pre-made. If it is a pre-made that you're up against and they're focusing you, that strat will probably not work. Unless you also are with a pre-made. If it's pre-made versus pre-made, then it's pretty easy. One thing you'll notice that I mentioned at the beginning is I am the only healer. A lot of the situations that you saw me in this battleground, where I died, if I had another healer with me, I wouldn't have died, because when I get stun locked, then obviously the other healer would have been able to help me out. So this time you'll notice I'm going to put my Transcendence in this building to try something new. I don't think it really worked. The Ret Pally ended up finding me pretty quickly. Again, CC anytime you can. Try and prevent anybody from capping by doing your spinning crane kick. I port, and then the Ret Pally ends up finding me. And one good thing to do is when you line of sight people in a building is I'll just CC them there. Just leave them in there. Again, just teleport or chi torpedo, whatever you can, across the fight. Ended up getting rooted there for a minute. Then getting stunned and ending up getting overwhelmed because everything was on cooldown, which does happen, especially if you find yourself being the only healer. One thing is we did end up winning this, and I think the Horde had 2 healers, and we only had 1. Really, it just comes down to you using pretty much everything you possibly can every fight. That's one thing that I've realized. I take the talent to make Life Cocoon a 1.5 minute cooldown, because I'll just pop every possible cooldown that I can, because battleground fights are so fast now. They can last 30 seconds to 5 minutes, but most of the time they are just super quick. So if you burn all your cooldowns, by the time everybody regroups, you will have your cooldowns up again, or if worst case scenario, if the fight is super short, you burn your cooldowns, at least you're alive and you're able to keep the areas that you have. One thing that I do in Battlegrounds versus Arenas, I really do blow my cooldowns quicker than I do in Arena. In Arena, I will eat full CC. Although if I have 3 healers with me, let's say it's me, a resto druid and another monk or something, and we're all by each other, I will eat CC then, and I will let them burn their cooldowns first. So that way I have mine in case they need them as well. So you just basically take turns doing your big cooldowns. One thing that I wanted to point out as well is if you're guarding waterworks, it's actually pretty handy healing in the water. If you're just under the water, a lot of the time, DPS has a hard time finding you. So we've been able to keep the two for a while. We were going to go support Lighthouse, but luckily, without any real communication, we ended up just turning to mines because all of us basically just saw Lighthouse getting overwhelmed, and I noticed that this mage, this panda mage, was going to mines, and this warlock behind me as well. So we're gonna go and again just switch off. If the opposing team just goes and zergs one side, just go and zerg the other. So you'll notice I CC that balance druid again. Go to capture. I know I'm not going to be able to get it, but what I'm trying to do is get everybody to pull over and try and focus on me for a sec so I can CC them and then get out of there. A lot of the time this will work. Sometimes if the DPS is determined like they are, you can become overwhelmed like I did. I think you get used to certain playstyles when you have more healers with you, which is I think what happened there. But we ended up winning pretty good, about 1300 to 1500, so it was a close game, but we did end up winning, and I was the only healer, and this was a complete random pug, so this wasn't a pre-made, didn't know anybody before entering, and here basically I'm just wasting time showing that you can pour mist walk over, get all the way across, use your mist walk over to this hill. That hill is a pretty good spot because they expect you to go into that building and then you can come back out and heal, and that's what I was demonstrating right there. And then they charge in and we win. So it was a pretty good battleground, an example of a gilneas with only being the one healer and how to successfully position yourself and to be able to peel for yourself. I think the main thing really is just to drag the enemy through your team, and hopefully they end up stunning, sheeping, fearing, whatever they can do to get them off of you. So hopefully you guys learned some things. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please subscribe, and I will be getting more videos up here in the near future. Thank you very much.